fire, fire, fire.
The death of mainstream. Labubu's, the guy from Squid Games, The Rock, I don't know who that is, Nicki Minaj, Temu, Netflix, TikTok, and Mr. Beast. Didn't everybody say that Mr. Beast is the next coming of the Antichrist or something? Mr. Beast! Okay, I'm ready. I'm excited. Alright, 3, 2, 1, boom.
There is more high-quality content available than ever before, and yet most people feel like there is something missing. There was once a time where it felt like we were all on the same wavelength when it came to entertainment and pop culture. Everything felt more impactful. Movies were bigger. Music spread further.
True.
Famous people were actually famous. Awards meant something. And if there was a shocking story in the news, it was impossible.
The glove! The OJ glove. Who here knows about it? Tekken, I saw Tekken. I love Tekken. Tekken's so good.
To miss. It was much
If
easier.
the glove don't fit, we would be acquitted, or whatever it's called. I can't remember. If it don't fit, acquit. Yeah, whatever it said.
To have your finger
must
on the
acquit.
pulse of pop culture, and it created this bond that we had together as strangers, and we took it for granted because now that that bond is gone, the world of entertainment, music, movies, shows, social media feels oversaturated, confusing, and dull.
Yeah, it's a lot more easier to also get your 15 minutes of fame. I think like back in the day when the internet wasn't around, being famous, I feel like it kind of lingered longer, even if you were like famous for like some silly reason.
Most of you can relate to this. How many times these days
Now
does
it's
someone say to you, hey,
oversaturated,
did you hear about, or hey, did you see? And not only is your answer no, but you literally have no idea what they are talking about.
I feel
Life
bummed
wasn't
out.
always like that. What we are missing today and for the past few years is a monoculture, which is essentially one culture that all Americans are connected to. Sometimes I even call it the death of mainstream because nothing really feels mainstream anymore.
I think mainstream died in 2015. Yeah, I would say the death of mainstream was definitely like post 2015. Before that, it was kind of slowly declining. The peak bracket was like 2000 to like 2010, maybe 11, maybe 12. And then afterwards, it like really died.
Every
died when
decade had their
Harambe
own
died.
version of monoculture that was seemingly easily defined. But what will define the 2020s? Monoculture
Literally
is
nothing.
dead. And for anyone watching this that's like a teenager or younger, it means nothing because they can't relate to that experience. But literally anyone older than that remembers their version of monoculture and probably misses it because it represents a much more simple time. Every generation before Gen Alpha had limited options for entertainment, and they thought it was a burden flipping through TV.
How horrifying. You had to go outside and talk to your friends.
Channels saying, oh, there's nothing to watch. But
True,
now
and then you
our
go
options
out.
are infinite. 3.7 million YouTube videos
Slop.
uploaded every day. One streaming service with every song ever made and 100,000 new songs being uploaded every day.
Wow.
Dozens of
Wait, that's
subscription
way too
services with
much.
thousands of movies and TV shows. A literal endless singular feed of short form videos that one can spend hours without realizing the time has passed. And despite having access to all of this content, a lot of us feel bored and disconnected.
And numb. Who here starts doom scrolling sometimes? I've stopped doing it consciously. Like when I realize I'm doing it, I stop. But I used to doom scroll pretty hard.
Connected from each other. Well,
Yep.
today I want to talk about that feeling like something is missing. I believe it is tied to the death of monoculture. So let's dive into how we got here, where it went wrong, and actually why some of you might consider it to be a good thing. Entertainment has always evolved based on the available technology. The easier it is to consume, the less
Ew, is that League of Legends on mobile?
impactful it is. Movie theater ticket sales had their all-time peak in the US in 1946. Over 90 million weekly admissions were recorded, which means that about 60% of the US population went to go see a movie that year. Now, were movies objectively better in 1946? Absolutely not. There were just less of them, and less entertainment overall. The introduction of the television likely slowed down movie ticket sales, but opened up a whole new opportunity for entertainment. Cartoons, sitcoms, bombs, and of course, ads. You've probably never heard of Spokio, Truthfinder, or been verified, but they've definitely heard of you. These are data brokers. Their entire business model is collecting your personal info and selling it to anyone willing to pay. They provide reports like this that have information about you, including your contact info, address,
oh no, everyone's gonna find out I'm a man! No!
your relatives, and maybe even what car you drive. This stuff isn't just floating around by accident, it's being packaged, indexed, and sold legally right now. Data brokers are selling our private information without our consent. They make no attempt to stop scammers, spammers, or stalkers from buying it. The government does nothing to stop them. These data brokers are literally laughing all the way to the bank, probably paying off politicians, so this continues to remain legal. That's why I started using Aura, who's sponsoring this video. Aura finds the data brokers exposing your info and automatically sends opt-out requests to get it taken down. You don't need to fill out dozens of forms because Aura does it for you. Aura also monitors the dark web, alerts you if someone's trying to use your info for credit fraud, and comes with a VPN and password manager. And if something does happen, you're covered with up to $5 million in identity theft insurance and 24/7 US-based fraud support to help you fix it fast. You can try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/PatrickCC. That's more than enough time to start getting your information removed from these sketchy sites. But even television has its limitations. You had to watch the show at the exact time it aired, or you missed it and had to wait for someone to tell you what happened the next day. Or even worse, you had to read this book called The TV Guide to figure out when they were going to air a rerun. Plus, there were only a few channels, so competition for attention was fierce. But that also meant that millions of people were watching the same thing at the same time, with most households operating on 9-to-5 work schedules.
If you control information, you control the universe. Imagine they were all just watching SmugAlana. How much stupider this country would be.
Only time carved out to entertain yourself was between 7 and 10. This was known as prime time, and that's when the few good shows were on. Families watched the same things together.
There's prime time for streaming, fun fact. Yeah, there's a prime time for streaming.
And a new episode airing at 8 p.m. on a weeknight could dominate school hallways and office break rooms the next day. Worst case scenario,
Yo, I remember being in school, and because New Zealand was a little bit behind, I remember, I think it was Ninja Warrior, or it was the big bouncy Wipeout. Yeah, that when that first came out, that was a big deal in New Zealand. I remember all my classmates talking about it. I forget when it came out, but like I remember I was a little kid and I came to school and I was like, guys, did you watch the new Wipeout episode? It was like a big deal. I advertised it all the time and they were like, wow. Yeah, and we talked about it at school. Now nobody fucking does that, huh?
You could stay up for late night television where Letterman would catch you up on all your pop culture news. We were connected as humans, kind of operating on the same wavelength, and the entertainment added to our humanity. That is, unless you were entirely disinterested from the few available shows and movies, then you had no other options, your life sucked, and you were looking for other forms of entertainment like heroin. But at least back then, it...
Whoa, Patrick! You went from I don't watch TV to doing heroin? Whoa, that went from 0 to 100 really fast. Is it just me? He knows what he's doing, this little fricker.
Didn't have fentanyl in it. But the way people consumed movies and television stayed relatively the same for decades. By the 1970s, 95% of households had a TV in it. And then in the 80s and 90s, there was a massive uptick in available entertainment, like an entire TV channel dedicated to showing music videos, or an entire channel dedicated to showing cartoons. But even with more niche options, primetime shows still dominated pop culture, and Americans still felt a sense of togetherness through a somewhat limited availability. Is music not hitting the same anymore? Doesn't it feel like you used to have a connection with others based on a shared love for the same music? Well, music had a similar permeating connection to monoculture with a few key differences. For most of the 20th century, music was somewhat of a luxury. Today, for $15 a month, you can get access to every song ever made and 100,000 new ones uploaded daily.
YouTube's free though. Yeah, if you have an ad blocker installed, you can play all the music you want, to be fair.
daily. 15 bucks used to get you one album, and you had to take your happy ass to a record store and physically buy it. And if the album wasn't high enough demand, they might not actually have it. And that seems like a dumb thing to say, but in our modern culture, entertainment is never not available to you. These stores often
there's no samples. You can't like play something for 30 seconds or something.
Had a strong sense of community and served as a gathering place for music fans. It wasn't unusual for artists to stop in and play mini concerts or sign albums before an appearance in a particular city. When people bought an album, they were now invested. They worked hard for that money. So to get the value back, they actually listened to the whole thing. They even tried to like the songs that they didn't initially like because they paid for.
I did this. So I didn't have a CD player because that was like a little bit after. I had an iPod Touch. No, not iPod Touch. I had an iPod Shuffle, and even though I had songs on there I didn't like, I couldn't afford to like get more songs, and then pirating was like kind of select and niche, so like I pirated a little bit here and there, but like I didn't know what to look for, so I would play songs that I fucking hated. It was so bad.
For it, which ultimately made them appreciate the artistry on a different depth.
I don't know, the
this
Shuffle.
uninterrupted
The Shuffle was only like $80, and my mom got one for free from a student that really loved her. When he left for his country or whatever, because she was like an English teacher. Yeah, he got her an iPod Shuffle, and my mom didn't want it, so she gave it to me. It was pink. Yeah, that was like my first like MP3 player, I guess, and I hated it because I didn't know what song was playing. You want to know another fun fact? This is like anecdotal too. My friend who pirated and had iTunes both, they took that iPod Shuffle and they put Rickroll as the first track there, and because you can't see what you're gonna play, I put my earbuds in and I was so happy. I was like, yippee! I'm gonna listen to the new song that they gave me. And they rickrolled me. They rickrolled me, that frickin' motherfucker, man.
Focus on the music built a deeper connection from the fans to the artist. Fans had to imagine what their favorite musicians were like based on lyrics, a few interviews, and carefully staged photographs in magazines or posters on their wall. There was
such an androgynous icon too. It's crazy. He's such a handsome man.
Magazines or posters on their wall. There was a mystique. Pop stars felt larger than life, almost like fictional characters, which is why people would pass out at the mere sight of Michael Jackson. Today we have countless.
I think Michael Jackson is one of the greatest pop stars of all time.
Interviews and endless access to all of their thoughts and opinions on social media. That mystery is gone. Artists are more accessible than ever, and because of that, they feel less special. And since music was basically a luxury, most people didn't have tons of disposable income to buy every release they wanted to listen to. So they typically resorted to listening to the radio or watching MTV. You couldn't just...
Oh, and then it also creates harsher critics because you're so overexposed to media, and so like you think you know what's best because you have such a like vast portfolio and like understanding of I'm not even saying understanding, but like you have more availability, so you're more critical, I guess.
Search your favorite Guns N' Roses song and get that instant gratification. You had to turn on MTV and just wait for it to come on, but in the meantime, you were consuming tons of other good songs that made you a more well-rounded music listener. And that was the same predicament for everyone. So at school dances, parties, or clubs, everyone felt connected because the songs that were being played were the ones that everyone had the same access to. A lot of club DJs today still mostly play music from the 2010s, and a lot of people wonder why they aren't playing more modern music. Like, are we all crippled by nostalgia? Well, not necessarily, but when you play music from the 2010s, you can kind of guarantee that everyone in the club is gonna know those songs.
Yeah!
Whereas today...
This is actually true for my chat. Chat, you're old!
Everyone just listens to vastly different music. What's considered extremely popular and mainstream to you might literally not be considered extremely popular and mainstream to the person next to you. Today, we have unlimited access to every song ever made. When a new song or album drops, it is just right there in your phone.
Oh, God. god. Taylor Swift. There she is. She haunts me.
You don't have to talk to anyone, don't have to buy it, don't have to wait. Most of the time, the artist is actually begging you to listen to it, or you accidentally found out about it. You didn't even want to discover it. Most people have resorted to just letting the algorithm decide what music to recommend to them because it's easier than doing all of the effort I just talked about before. Combine this lack of mono connectivity through music, requiring absolutely no effort to get access to the music, as well as artists not having the star power due to overexposure, and surprise, surprise, music holds absolutely no value to the average casual listener. Once we entered the 2000s, the rapid advancement of available technology caused a dominant monoculture to become more fragmented. TVs were becoming cheaper, bigger, and higher quality. The internet was getting faster, becoming easier to access and navigate.
It still took forever to download one fucking picture.
Cell phones were in everyone's pocket. We were becoming more connected than ever, but we didn't realize it was actually going to drive us further apart. In my opinion, 2000 to 2010 was a great sweet spot for pop culture. I would describe today's culture as everything all at once, and the early 2000s was the same, but it was slightly more manageable.
It's because it was slower. The internet became too fast. People min-maxing. This kind of happened with video games too, because everything is available now through like alpha and beta builds and news network coverage of like what's gonna come out, and like people don't really get excited, if that makes sense. Like everything's kind of min-maxed to shit now.
Simple. Movies. Here's a graph of every movie released per year around the world. You can see the quantity of movies released remained relatively the same from the early 1970s to the late 1990s, and it just started slowly ramping up in the 2000s before it exponentially exploded. Back then, there was a rhythm to it all. You'd get 2 or 3 massive blockbusters every summer, movies like Spider-Man, Pirates of the Caribbean, or The Dark Knight, which dominated culture for weeks. As fall and winter rolled in, you'd see smaller budget, more experimental, or just simple films rise to the surface. Movies like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Little Miss Sunshine, Juno, and Requiem for a Dream. Everyone kind of knew what was coming and when it was coming, and that predictability created a shared sense of anticipation. Even smaller budget films had a shot at becoming massive, and the reason they had a shot was because people actually went to the theaters. Our last peak in movie theater ticket sales was in 2000.
Jeez, I wonder what happened right here.
2002, when 1.5 billion tickets were sold. But even if you didn't go to the theater, we had these really cool things called DVDs, where you could buy the movie that you missed and watch it at home. And if you didn't
Fun fact, my dad went to China for a business trip sometimes, and he would bring back a case full of pirated knockoff DVDs, and we would spend entire like movie nights figuring out which ones were watchable and which ones had the bad subtitles, because sometimes my dad would bring like foreign movies home, like French, Italian ones, and they would have like really bad subtitles or the wrong side of subtitles for the wrong movie because the person that was pirating it didn't really care that much. And they would be like $1 a piece, and we'd have to like sort through them and like watch them and put them in. Yeah, the bootlegs from like Russia and China back in like the 2000s were so good.
Want to commit to buying it, no worries.
Yeah,
you could rent the film for a few bucks by going to this magical place called Blockbuster. This is a store where you could essentially browse all of the movies that you didn't get the chance to see. You would actually talk.
My brother took me to one. It was amazing. That's where we got Final Fantasy VIII on the PlayStation. Yeah, it was so good.
To the employee who worked there, and they would give you a recommendation or tell you what everyone else is renting. Sometimes a movie was in such high demand that all of their copies would be rented and you couldn't get it. Imagine that. Imagine any form of entertainment being unavailable for you today. Scarcity created demand, and it made the film more exciting. It made you want to watch it more. Most of those crappy yet special early...
I begged my brother to rent the Wii because my mom didn't want to buy it for us, and my dad was like, no more consoles. So we rented one for like a week with my money and my brother's money combined, and we played like the shitty Sonic Wii game. We played Mario Party. We played Mario Kart. We played Mario Tennis. It was amazing.
2000s comedies were the perfect films to pick up at a Blockbuster, and people loved that place. The company earned $5 billion in revenue in 2004. The point is that you and everyone around you had this physical connection with the entertainment and was actively using their brain to choose what they wanted to consume. TV still had a somewhat similar rhythm in the 2000s. Primetime
Is that Tiger Woods?
was still valuable airtime. MTV was in its best era, in my opinion, having a plethora of terrible yet oddly captivating reality.
Chat, who thought the teen pregnancy show was terrible, but they still watched it? 16 and Pregnant, horrible, but I watched it. Yep. Because there was nothing else on, and it was just like really good to laugh at. Yeah, Teen Mom. I remember my mom walked in one time and she's like, "You better not turn out like this, bitch." And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even have a boyfriend. Fuck off. I was like a kid. I'm like, what the fuck, mom?
TV shows and experimental.
This is what you're gonna. This is what I gonna have to you if you don't close your legs. I'm like, wow, mom, what the fuck are you worried about?
Series while still having their sister network, MTV2, play music videos 24/7. It was one of the most versatile eras for mainstream music, with lyrical rap, crunk rap, rock, emo rock, country, pop, EDM, R&B, and countless other genres in a healthy rotation on MTV and the radio. It was just on the cusp of being overwhelming, but having it all contained on MTV and VH1 made it still manageable to keep up with. Kids were absolutely consumed by Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, and Cartoon Network, which were 3 separate networks that each had 2 to 3 shows worth paying attention to in their respective eras. We still had a healthy separation between our personal lives and our school and work life from 9 to 5, only entertaining ourselves lightly in the morning and in the evenings. We didn't have a phone to distract us from literally every millisecond of boredom. The entertainment options still felt limited enough that you could feel like everyone around you was on the same wavelength. Plus, we were still at the mercy of knowing the schedule of when new shows were going to air, but that started to die when cable companies provided DVR capabilities. You could now record your favorite shows and movies.
Oh my god, I'm getting a nostalgia overload right now. Chat, help!
And watch them later whenever you wanted. This was the beginning of the streaming service era takeover that so many people today loathe. Today, you may feel like you are not as connected to the culture because one...
Do you guys remember the marathons that Cartoon Network would do? Like, only, like Adventure Time, or only SpongeBob for like 3 days straight. I kind of hated it because they would do it so often. I would start to be able to like rehearse the episodes like off by heart because they would be like all the time. Yeah, like we'd have insane marathons just playing all the time.
Less people are going to the theaters, and 2, the DVD and TV business has been demolished by streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, etc. Being able to stream anything, anywhere, anytime, all while being alone in your room means there's no anticipation, no excitement, nobody to share the experience with, and therefore no real reason to watch, which is why you simply...
And big outrage also, fun fact, I wasn't alive then, I don't think. Yeah, so my parents have this story of my brother, like, in New Zealand, back in, like, what? When did it come out? South Park came out in 1982, I want to say. 1997, yes. So in 1997, South Park came out, but because New Zealand and Australia are like behind on like cable television, they had to like buy the rights, so it was like played in 98, right? And my parents told me this story, or like, yeah, 99. I can't remember, obviously. I don't know this off by heart, but my parents told me a story of like back in the day, how outraged parents were that South Park was aired for the very first time back then at like 10 o'clock on cable because it had like swears in it, and it was like, it was rude and gross, and it was like the rage of the town that we lived in. And I was like, I was like thinking to myself, like, damn, like I just grew up like watching cartoons, like there was no cussing, and I remember watching South Park like later seasons, obviously. But my brother told me stories of like all the kids being psyched out and being all hyped up, and like it's freaking like crazy how like on the turn of the millennia, like this thing came out, and then there's just a big buzz around it. I'm like, God damn, dude.
Scroll and scroll through endless choices, waiting for something to magically grab your attention, waiting for something to give you a reason to watch, but it just never happens. On a lighter note, every now and again, we do have a monoculture moment. I think back to the Barbie movie where girls were excited to dress in all
it's not the same. It's not the same.
pink and drag their boyfriends to the theaters, only for the guys to immediately after drag their girls to see Oppenheimer, where I'm assuming many of them fell asleep. I think back to Squid Games, where it felt like everyone and their mother was blindsided by this dystopian critique of capitalism disguised as a fucked up game show.
Again, I don't think it's to the same scale. I know what he's trying to say. It's just that it's such a far cry compared to what it was, because also the internet has so many things going on at the same time as something else big happening, that even though the big thing is like a big deal, it kind of gets drowned out and it kind of passes quicker than it used to.
As far as films go, it feels like it's only every couple of years where there is a moment that we are all in sync, when it used to be literally all year, every year. I can't even remember the last time music had a monoculture moment. I mean, sure, radio is still kind of relevant. TikTok made popular songs more popular, but there's so much music all over the place, all the time.
The only thing that I can think of is like memes. And that's quite irritating because memes die like almost instantly. Gangnam Style. Yeah, Harlem Shake, Gangnam Style. I think like, again, I keep thinking like 2015, 2016, that was like the last time we could like had a monoculture.
That I don't even know what anybody's listening to anymore. For TV, Yellowstone, Severance, White Lotus, Love Island. I mean, they are extremely popular, but can we say everyone is watching those shows? Will those shows define this era? I bet there are a ton of you watching that are like, I didn't watch a single one of those shows. The irony of it all is that the death of a unified culture everyone seems to be feeling came with our pursuit to be more connected than ever before, because the adaptation of the internet and social media into our everyday lives was the nail in the coffin for monoculture. By the turn of the century, everyone with extra cash had a computer somewhere in the house. Our parents were using them to basically replace what the newspaper did for decades. As the desktops and internet connection got faster, we looked at forums, chatted through AOL Instant Messenger, played simple flash games on Newgrounds, and even bid on random antiques from eBay. Being connected to
in New Zealand, we didn't have eBay. We had Trade Me. That's where I got my Nintendo DS R4 Shark, whatever it's called. The one with like 1 million games on it and you could cheat on it. Yeah, I got it for like $40 or $80.
Random people all over the world was beautiful. You were no longer limited to the thoughts, beliefs, and interests of those in your geographical location. The internet was still somewhat difficult to navigate. You know, there was a time when Google didn't have all the answers.
Does anybody remember mini clips? Oh my god, that was so good.
Had to check other search engines like Yahoo and my favorite, Ask Jeeves, to find what you were looking for. Videos would take forever to load, the quality was often terrible, and sometimes just straight up didn't work. Using the internet kind of felt like exploring uncharted land. That friction, scarcity, and lack of instant gratification was what made it special. It was
watching Naruto Part 2 with like Spanish subtitles and then not being able to find Naruto Part 3 Chonin exam in 144p, yeah. and then like you wouldn't find it. I remember I used to do this really retarded thing as a child because I didn't know how internet worked at the time. But I would basically reset it and watch it over and over again, thinking that if I reset it to the start, my internet would like jump start, for lack of a better word. I don't know how that makes any sense looking back at it, but like I was a child and I didn't understand how like internet speeds work. But like, you know how it would stall out at like 1 minute 40 seconds, right? I would restart the player on YouTube, back to 0, and then it would like stop again at 2 minutes, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll just rewatch it again, and then it'll keep going. I did that. Well, I thought it made it go faster. I was stupid. It was cute, dude. It was cute.
Worth working for. Today, we just expect things to work. We demand convenience, and we are willing to give up our human autonomy for it. Initially, the entertainment industry as a whole saw the internet as a threat because of piracy. Suddenly, millions of people could download movies, music, and TV shows for free through networks like Napster, LimeWire, and torrent sites, completely bypassing traditional revenue models. Studios, labels, and networks feared the collapse of their business structures, as physical sales and TV deals were at the risk of being replaced. The internet stripped them of control, and for the first time, the consumer had the power to access content without paying a cent. From the consumer's perspective, the
piracy was so rare, man. It was so rare. They made a big deal out of it for no reason. Do you guys remember the South Park episode where it's like I think Stan stole a song, and then they go around him trying to make him feel bad because it's like, now he can't afford a yacht for his second child. And it's like, I get it, you're stealing, but like, now you can't buy like your second Rolls Royce? Like, wow, that's crazy.
Logic was simple. Why pay for something when you can get it for free instantly? Piracy wasn't just about being cheap, it was about convenience. Buying a CD or DVD meant going to a store, spending 10 to 20 bucks, and hoping you'd like the full album or movie. Then again, people didn't realize the nuanced value of the additional human experiences they got while consuming entertainment. All that driving to the store, talking to people, limited inventory, sitting on a sticky theater seat, that was all just considered to be an inconvenient cost of getting what you wanted. But you couldn't argue against the value that the internet brought to individuals. It gave everyone a voice, a platform, and endless options tailored exactly to their preferences. And that ramped up significantly in 2003 when MySpace became the first widely accepted platform for social media. By 2005, the platform had around 300 million users and had an estimated valuation of over $10 billion. The platform allowed people to share their personal passions and stories as individuals. If nobody in your real life aligned with your interests, you would be able to find a community of like-minded people online. People started calling random strangers on the internet their friends. They became invested in their lives, wanting to know what they were doing in their geographical location. Your connection to random people around the world started to make you disconnected from those physically around you. Slowly, the digital world began to feel more important than the physical one. As platforms evolved, first with Facebook, then Instagram, and eventually TikTok, the focus shifted even further away from a shared experience and towards personal branding. Algorithms...
Old Facebook was peak. I'm sorry, I know Facebook's like a boomer thing, but old Facebook, back before it got overloaded with ads, and you had like a bunch of games on there, oh, I just loved it so much. Because I was still didn't have really good internet. I like couldn't play WoW or anything. So I played Facebook games. Like there was like a fish game, there was Farmville, there was that Mafia Wars game too. God, it was so good.
Were designed not to connect people as a whole, but to keep you personally engaged, feeding you content you already agreed with or found entertaining. The internet became less of a town square and more of an echo chamber, reflecting only your own tastes, beliefs, and biases back at you, just so you wouldn't click off the app. Social media stopped being about community and became a stage where everyone was the main character of their own story. It made individuals feel more powerful than ever, which could be considered a good thing, but it also created a cultural landscape more narcissistic, divisive, and isolated than any era in history. So the reason why movies, TV, YouTube, social media, and literally all other forms of entertainment don't feel the same is a combination of really complicated nuances. However, with a shift in mentality, you could look at all of this as a good thing. If you are a strong-minded individual, introverted, or just someone who doesn't really care about a sense of community, community and those around you, you are in the golden ages. For decades, if you didn't fit into the narrow lens of what the mainstream deemed valuable, if you didn't like the biggest pop star or wear the right clothes or relate to the 5 TV shows everyone else watched, you were invisible. You had nowhere to go. You were the weird kid, the quiet one, the one who didn't belong. But now the internet gives you infinite options to find belonging, and literally any.
Where's that really famous fucking 4chan post? Hold on. There it is. I found it. Okay. All I had to Google was 4chan post fucking toasters community. This is such a banger. Oh man. Before internet, I want to fuck a toaster. Don't be a fucking retard. Grow up. After internet, I want to fuck a toaster. Google, find a community with 1,000 members about wanting to fuck toasters. Fuck up your life. This is 2017, by the way. They were so ahead of their time, too. Like, it's so true.
Interest you may have, no matter how unique it is, chances are there is a niche community where someone like you isn't just accepted, you're celebrated. Do you like wolves eating watermelons? So do 61,000 other people. Do you like stapling bread to trees? So do 335,000 other people. Today, a girl who was once mocked in school for drawing anime characters in her notebook can become a full-time artist with a fan base of thousands or millions. A kid who was laughed at for making weird songs on his cracked BandLab app can go viral on TikTok and then chart on the Spotify Viral 50. A filmmaker with no connections and no budget can put their short film on YouTube and have it resonate with millions of people around the world. These stories were impossible in the monoculture era because the gatekeepers decided what was and what wasn't. Before the internet, independence was next to impossible, and today the gatekeepers have less power than ever. So maybe entertainment feels more chaotic, more overwhelming, and less special. Maybe we are no longer all connected under a simple, easy to navigate monoculture, but there is more opportunity than ever for a small independent creator to get a taste of that success. And for consumers, if you know what your interests are and do not let algorithms decide what you want to watch and are willing to do the tedious task to actively get outside of the echo chamber that these algorithms are trying to hold you in and find that one quality YouTuber.
Every website is like this though. They all want you to stay on their website.
Or that one underrated Hulu series, then you are probably completely fine with today's entertainment climate. Build your own world. Who cares about community? This is your life. Now, I personally go back and forth on my feelings towards the death of monoculture. I don't personally feel drowned out in content. Since I have terrible movie and TV taste, I will watch just about anything as long as there is a decent premise for the plot. As far as music goes, I am totally willing to...
I think he's very critical in his videos. I don't think he actually means that.
Put in the grind to find my new favorite artist, and I'm actually one of those annoying people who kind of starts to dislike someone when they get more famous. So I actively look for underrated talent, and Spotify and social media makes that a million times easier and more convenient. But at the same time, I do miss that sense of monoculture. I play a lot of golf, and when I meet new people, I've had countless conversations that lead nowhere because we have absolutely nothing in common due to being stuck in totally different algorithmic echo chambers. Sometimes the golfers don't even watch golf, so I'm just like, how's the weather? And obviously I'm a creator, so I'm benefiting from a system that was created for me to succeed. And because of my feelings going back and forth, my channel is somewhat a reflection of the lack of and yearning for an entertainment monoculture. My YouTube channel is kind of like a 2000s MTV inspired hodgepodge of modern pop culture. Firstly, I'm reliable, posting every Monday at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And every week we talk about something pop culture related. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's film, sometimes it's internet personalities, sometimes it's a comedian, action sports star, politics. The modern YouTube algorithm wants you to keep making the same video over and over with the same thumbnails and dominate one specific niche.
I've felt that way too about YouTube videos. Like, again, a lot of my content is like around making fun of really stupid women, and I've been told like, oh, if you want to grow your subscriber base, you need to start focusing on only pumping out content about shitting on women. And I'm like, understand it's really funny to make fun of women all the time, but like there's only so much I want to do, and like I like different things. It's not all about like making the maximum amount of profit and like doing content just so the algorithm favors me. Like I ultimately don't care. I watch what I like. She hates women. I mean, we make fun of boys too, but you know, mostly women. I'm a woman, I'm allowed to make fun of myself.
Which is why you see so many successful channels being repetitive, because that is literally what works. I try to keep a balance, and because of that, some videos get more views than others,
and then
some videos bomb, but I hope you enjoy me keeping that old early 2000s variety. You can come to my channel to keep you updated with modern pop culture and feel some tiny slice of that monoculture we all used to love. Also, this was kind of a different style of video for my channel. I usually stick to documentaries that are objective and fact-based, but recently I've just kind of been wanting to switch it up a little bit. So I'll be looking at the comments to see what you guys think about this more conceptual or think piece rant type of video. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Monday.
I like Patrick. He does exactly what he needs to do. He is a good guy. He has a decent head on his shoulders. Yeah, I think he has a really level-headed take there. Like, he does what he wants. If you, by the way, I'm not shaming people for farming content, by the way. Like, you gotta make your bag. If you want to, like, I don't know, buy 2 houses and one of them is for your family and one of them is for yourself, and then you want to retire, it is what it is. It's business, you know? Like, you gotta make your viewers happy. You gotta make the algo happy. You gotta maximize your profit. I understand. But you also have to take into account that, like, it's probably not super duper fun farming the same content over and over again. And that's kind of like what monoculture died from, is that, like, there's no more variety. Everything kind of sounds the same. I don't know.
Fire, 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 fire.